I lapse into unconsciousness for a few days after a high fever. When I wake up, I see my boyfriend and his best friend standing by my bed. I want to enliven the atmosphere, so I joke, "Who are you?" Eric Cobb, my boyfriend, is taken aback. I almost laugh at the look on his face. Then, he points at his friend, Jonah Mullen. "Don't you remember? Your boyfriend's been panicking over you." As his best friend, I have to be here with him. This time, I'm the one who's taken aback. Unexpectedly, Jonah steps forward and says, "That's right. I'm your boyfriend, Jonah Mullen." I glanced at the two of them but didn't expose their lies. Instead, I feigned amnesia. "Jonah, since you're my boyfriend, why don't you take me home?" The man named Jonah Mullen nodded and went to handle my discharge procedures. Meanwhile, my real boyfriend, Eric Cobb, stood silently to the side. In the end, it was Jonah who took me home. I quietly stepped out of the room and overheard him talking on the phone in the living room. "Jonah, do me a favor, pretend to be Gina's boyfriend for a while. What you're doing is crazy. She's going to find out the truth sooner or later. Don't worry, dude. She's easy to win over. Besides, she loves me so much, there's no way she'd really leave me. But we've been together for 2 years, and honestly, I'm bored with her. So I plan to enjoy my freedom while she's lost her memory. You've hooked up with Lila, haven't you? You're just using this as an excuse to mess around with her. It's impossible for a man to spend his life with only one woman, though my heart still belongs to Gina." I silently returned to the room, making a slight noise as I opened the door. Then, I walked back out to the living room. Hearing the sound, Jonah quickly hung up the phone and turned to look at me. "Why don't you rest a little longer?" He placed a hand on my forehead to check if I still had a fever. Then, he led me to sit on the sofa. "I'm hungry." Right on cue, my stomach growled loudly. "What do you feel like eating? How could I make some mac and cheese for you?" I nodded. He got up and went to the fridge to pour me a glass of milk. After passing it to me, he ruffled my hair and planted a kiss on my cheek. "Wait here. I'll be done soon." As he leaned in for another kiss, I turned my head away. Jonah gently touched my face. "It's okay if you don't remember me. Let's just take it slow." Then, he headed into the kitchen, and soon, the aroma of food filled the air. After dinner, I got up to return to my room. He followed right behind me. My chest tightened. Was he planning to sleep in the same room as me? As far as he knew, I had amnesia, and he was my boyfriend. Of course, he'd expect us to share a bed. But in reality, I hadn't lost my memory at all. Jonah followed me into the room, and I stood to the side, frantically trying to figure out how to avoid the situation. Starting tonight, you'll sleep here. I'll be in the next room. Call me if you need anything." We spoke at the same time, and his words left me stunned. "We have plenty of time to get to know each other again, so we can take it slow." My face flushed with embarrassment at my earlier assumptions. I lowered my head, unsure how to face him. "Gina, my friends are getting together tomorrow. Come with me?" Still recovering from the embarrassment, I nodded instinctively. "Okay." Then, I pretended to look troubled. "But I'm afraid I won't recognize anyone." "Don't worry, you have me." That night, I actually slept pretty well. The next evening, Jonah took me to a private room at a club. As soon as the group of trust fund babies saw me, their eyes instinctively turned to Eric. Lila, who was sitting next to Eric, greeted me with a smile. "Gina, do you remember me? I'm your best friend, Lila Wheeler." Jonah led me to sit down. I shook my head apologetically at Lily. She clung to Eric's arm and mentioned with a grin, "No worries. We can start over and get to know each other again." This so-called best friend of mine wasted no time flaunting her affection with Eric the moment she thought I'd lost my memory, her gaze laced with provocation. And Eric? He seemed to relish the thrill of cozying up to another woman right in front of his girlfriend. "Lila's right. You two are best friends, and your boyfriends are best buddies too. What a coincidence. It's all good. Just think of it as meeting a new friend for the first time." Everyone knew exactly what was going on, yet they all still went along with the act in an unspoken agreement. They all had this look like they were in on some inside joke, watching me get blatantly cheated on while I was clueless. During a drinking game, Lila was asked to cross arms with Eric in a toast as her punishment for losing. Someone pushed them, and their lips accidentally touched. "Kiss her. Just kiss her." Egged on by everyone, Eric grabbed the back of Lila's head and deepened the kiss. Afterward, she shyly covered her face and leaned into his arms, peeking at me through her fingers with a smug smile. Eric held her like she was his most precious treasure. Then, it was my turn. I lost. Gina lost. She has to be punished. Lila's eyes gleamed with mischief. She was clearly enjoying the show. "How about you pick someone here and make out with him?" someone suggested, and the others quickly joined in. "Yeah, pick someone." Suddenly, the room fell silent. I turned to Jonah, noticing how tense he looked. So, I took the initiative to lean in, closing my eyes. I could feel him relax as he slowly moved closer. Then, he cupped the back of my head and pressed his lips to mine. Wow. It wasn't just the usual rowdy cheering. There was a mix of disbelief in their voices together with the kind of excitement stemming from watching the drama unfold. I couldn't see their expressions with my eyes closed, but the noise quickly died down, leaving an eerie quiet. Eric cleared his throat lightly, resulting in Jonah and I being pulled apart. I noticed Eric's darkened expression and the odd looks everyone was giving us. Jonah gently wiped a trace of moisture from the corner of my lips. With a smile, I elaborated, "Of course, I'd kiss my boyfriend. I hope that counts as my punishment." Even with her memory loss, Gina doesn't seem awkward with Jonah at all. Lila couldn't resist taking a jab at me for being stupid due to my memory loss. Eric's expression was now grave. I excused myself to the restroom, and Eric and Jonah followed me outside to smoke. As I rounded the corner, I happened to overhear their conversation. "Jonah, I told you not to do anything to her. What was that just now?" Eric's voice carried a hint of suppressed anger. "It was just a game. Weren't you and Lila playing too?" Jonah replied in an amused tone. Eric fell silent for a moment before saying, "Alright, let's just drop it. But you still need to watch yourself. I know you'd never fall for Gina, but just keep your hands to yourself from now on. And remember, I'm the one she loves." When he returned to the private room, Eric still didn't look too pleased. The gathering eventually ended, and Jonah, who hadn't been drinking, drove me home. Winter had arrived, so it was freezing cold. The moment I got into the car, Jonah immediately turned on the heat. Then, he reached over and touched my hands. "Your hands are freezing. I'll heat up some milk for you when we get home. You've just recovered. We can't have you getting sick again." His actions felt so natural, as if he had fully embraced the role of my boyfriend. I stared at him, trying to figure him out. "What's wrong?" He glanced at me as he started the car. "Nothing." Jonah drove with one hand while wrapping his other hand around mine. It wasn't until my palm started to sweat that he finally smiled. "Good, you're all warm now. I was really worried you'd catch a cold." He let go, but the warmth lingered. Inside the car, it was cozy without a trace of winter's chill. The moment we returned to Jonah's place and the door closed, he pinned me against it and kissed me deeply. I tried to push him away, but he firmly held my hands in place. It wasn't until I was almost out of breath that he finally pulled back and gently held me. "Don't push me away. I'm your boyfriend. Even if you have lost your memory for now, we'll get close again, little by little." I looked up at him, stunned. I came from a pretty average background, worlds apart from these trust fund babies. Jonah used to seem like he couldn't stand me, so I did my best to stay out of his way. However, ever since I lost my memory, he seemed to dislike me less. In fact, he had been surprisingly nice. Was he doing this just to get back at Eric for putting us together? I fell asleep with these questions still swirling in my mind. In the days that followed, Jonah and I maintained a polite but somewhat distant routine. Yet, every now and then, he would kiss me, and over time, I just got used to it. It was the weekend of Lila's birthday. Jonah took me along to the party. To celebrate her birthday, Eric threw a lavish party for her on a yacht. The cake alone was taller than a person. Overjoyed, Lila wrapped her arms around Eric's neck and kissed him on the cheek before shyly pulling away. Eric chuckled and ruffled her hair. However, when he turned his head and saw us, a flicker of panic flashed across his face. Just as quickly, though, he composed himself and greeted us as if nothing had happened. Lila noticed us too, flashing a bright smile as she pulled me to her side. "Gina, you've arrived just in time. Help me take some pictures with Eric." Eric wrapped an arm around her as they posed in front of the cake while she tilted her head against his shoulder. "Isn't the cake gorgeous? Eric specially hired a master pastry chef from abroad to make it for me. See that princess figurine on top? That's me." My hands, which were holding the phone, stiffened for a second. So, Eric could be this thoughtful after all. Through the camera lens, I saw them embracing each other, smiling like they were the happiest couple in the world. Behind them was the towering cake and room filled with roses. The whole thing wasn't just picture perfect but romantic as well. After the birthday song, I went to the restroom. On my way back, I caught another conversation between Eric and Jonah. "You really put in the effort for Lila, huh? Gina never got this kind of treatment." "Yes, being with Lila is easy and sweet. She's cuter, gentler, and more thoughtful than Gina. She makes me really happy." "Then, why not just let things stay this way? If Lila suits you better, you might as well go along with it. You've said yourself that Gina lets her temper get the better of her and argues with you sometimes." "No, Jonah, Gina and I have been together for over 2 years. She's not somebody I can just walk away from. Besides, Lila isn't looking to be with me forever. She just wants to enjoy this time with me while it lasts. She's such a silly woman." Jonah listened, then gave a smile that was impossible to read.